Yak Gadget, made in America, based outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yak Gadget offers all kinds of storage accessories, quick mount motor mounts, anchor systems, track mounted accessories, even paddles. Go to yakgadget.com and get your kayak decked out for your next trip out on the water.
The 153 Bait Company, based in Troy, Ohio, make everything from plastics to custom painted hard baits. Hook 'em hard and hook 'em often. All of our baits are made to order, and all of our hard baits are hand painted to order. So go to the153anglers.com to place your order today.
This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
You're listening to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast with your hosts Ryan Milford and Sean Landry. Welcome back to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm your host, Ryan. Got the co-host, Sean, in here. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, doing very well. Thank you very much.
We also have one of our other Paddle and Fin hosts in here, Mr. Armando. Welcome back to the show, sir.
What's up, guys? Honored to be here. Love to be back. My favorite segment on Paddle and Fin, for real. Yeah. I tell that to Dan Perry and everybody and stuff. Not for real. That's the one that got me into it.
You used to do a segment somewhat like this on your show, right? Oh,
yeah, before I joined Paddle Fin, it was Kayak Fishing 101. It was inspired by you guys. Yeah, not that I didn't think I could do it any better. It was just like I want to do that. It started with me trying to learn to do bass fishing. It was like, you know what? If I can get this, PKAs, professional kayak anglers, to, send some information my way, what better way than to, sucker them into doing an interview and then just taking notes.
Absolutely.
That's how Bass Fishing for Noobs gets started, because I sucked terribly at fishing. And, I figured, if I can get some people to listen to it and get some good fishermen to come on, maybe I can learn something. Some other people learn something.
You're obviously a lot better angler than you were when you started the podcast, because you used to listen. Well, I still listen to your podcast, but I started listening to your podcast, and what I found about it, and that's at first when I wanted to do my segment of Kayak Fishing 101, I figured, well, I don't know anything about. I don't know that much. How dare do I tell people what to fish? But one of the things that I liked about your podcast is that you were relatable. I could understand the language that you were talking, because other podcasts, not necessarily kayak fishing, because I think you're the only one out there that teaches kayak fishing. But when I listen to other podcasts about learning kayak fishing or learning fishing in general, like there's a bunch of terms that I was like, seriously, I don't know what they're talking about. Like couldn't relate, because it was like information based on the assumption that you already have a certain knowledge about bass fishing. So to me, it was kind of hard. So when I started listening to the noob segment, I was like, I like this because I can relate to Ryan, because Ryan dumbs it down the way that I can understand it. And that's why I started doing the Kayak Fishing 101, because I figured, I don't know a lot, but if I can get some pro anglers to come and talk about it, and I can ask the questions that a newbie that doesn't know anything about bass fishing would ask. I look at it now and I'm thinking, man, I asked some dumb questions, in the sense that I like looking at it back now, like 2 years later, I'm like, man, I used to ask some simple questions, but that's what a lot of people are trying to get in bass fishing need to know,
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that was my goal, is like, I was the same way. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't know what a hump or a point is. I don't understand all this stuff. Break it down for me. That's kind of.
By the way, that video he posted like 2 weeks ago, fishing the moment. This young kid, the one that he explained contours line. Like, I thought I knew a lot of, and there's nothing really that I didn't know already, but it was like a good refresher training kind of video on YouTube, like reading contour maps and this difference between like And I remember all the time with a drop from a ledge or from a bank, a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, that's a lot of great information. That's one of my favorite ones too to learn. But again, because I've learned enough to understand what he's talking about.
Right. We've reached out to him a ton of times. I think he'd be a great guy to come on. We just got to talk him into it. So, but I was the same way. I remember, way back, one of the first interviews we did when I started was with Juan Verut, and he's talking about ledge fishing in the Susquehanna. And I had heard that term a million times, but to have him go through and explain exactly what is a ledge, and not only what is it, but how you should fish it, where you should position, what you should look for above the water to know what's below the water. That's the kind of things. That's kind of why I wanted to get on here, is to be able to ask those kind of questions, because you can hear that term thrown around a million times, and you're like, oh yeah, I should be ledge fishing, but until you know what it is and how you actually go about it, that's a big difference. So,
you know what? Go ahead.
I was going to say the Susquehanna has ledges. I thought it was only like a foot deep. I don't know if a foot drop considered.
At times, and places it has a foot drop off, but it is very rocky. I can't remember the reason why. I think it has to do with how it was formed, but it does have a lot of ledges. So.
You know what? One of the subjects that got me really like gave me a headache just thinking about it was watching videos trying to determine what the difference is between a fast action rod and a heavy rod. Like, I understood the concept of fast, medium, action, and all those terms. And then, but I was like, okay, if that's what it is, then what is a medium rod, a light rod, a heavy rod? Like, it took me so much learning that. I watched Fluke Master. I watched a ton of videos trying to understand. I got headaches just trying to figure out, well, what's the difference? Until I finally, once I started fishing and watching more videos and getting different rods, I was like, okay, now I understand what this all meant. But at the beginning, I felt like an idiot.
Yeah, the whole action, like the moderate, fast, all that. Man, I just, really started paying attention to that last year, I think. And that's when I really started dialing in, like, okay, like, what do I want for this technique? Okay, I need a rod with that, and so far and so forth. I actually had to go through this yesterday. I went to Bass Pro Shop with my dad. And I'll be honest, I never felt like I knew what I was talking about more until I was telling my dad that the guy at Bass Pro Shop was wrong and telling him he needed a medium rod for a Ned rig setup. I'm like, no, get a medium light. Get a medium light. Like, what I'm going to set you up with is these little bitty hooks on these jigs. Like, you're going to rip their face off with a medium. And I don't know. It felt good. Like, I felt like I knew what I was talking about then. But man, let me tell you, my dad bought a rod and reel. My dad's always been like a cat fisherman. He started bass fishing a little bit with me, like, just to go out with me and stuff. And so he don't know a whole lot about bass fishing, a little bit, but not a whole lot. And, he's getting into a little more, and he bought him this combo. It was a Daiwa spinning reel with one of those Johnny Morris rods. Mm-hmm. Dude, we took it home, got it strung up. He's never used braid on a spinning combo, so I got him braid fluoro leader on there. Dude, this thing casts so smooth. Like, it wasn't a cheap combo, but man, you just barely that, and you go across his yard, and he's got a pretty big yard. Like, dude, it's insane how smooth that combo is.
I've seen those Johnny Morrises. I wondered how they were.
Well, I've heard. But so this was one. It was like that rod was like in the 179 range. So it's not like a cheaper one. I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but it's up there. But dude, that combo he's got, I don't know. I'm kind of jealous. I mean, I finally got me a decent setup. That setup is nice.
I was gonna say that I think the Johnny Morris is loose. At least I don't know if the rods are, but I've heard that the reels are just manufactured by Luz.
Luz rebranded as Johnny Morris. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Because it's not that Bass Pro makes their own casters. Yeah. That's what I understood. I don't know if the rod is a separate contract with somebody else, like Abu Garcia or something. Could be just the same as Luz, but yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, from the beginning, I was a tackle junkie. As soon as I got into bass fishing, that's why I got so caught up. Like the first week that I started bass fishing, I got caught up with the whole heavy, moderate, fast, light, medium light. I got so caught up because I've always been a tackle junkie. My wife will tell you I spend way too much on equipment. And I'm always like, I'm never satisfied. I always want like the next reel. And I was like, I never thought I'd become one of those guys. But I just love it. I mean, it's not that you need it to go bass fishing, but I just love doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten to where, all mine are pretty decent. When I first started, man, I bought the cheapest stuff I could buy. Like, $30 brand new bait caster at Academy. Yeah, let me take it. Complete junk. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't recommend one of those reels to anybody. Like, the cheapest thing if you're first getting a bait caster and want something cheap, don't want to put too much into it yet, a Boo Garcia Black Max is going to be the cheapest thing that I'll tell you to go after as far as bait casters go. Because that's
Luz Silver too is a good one. Yeah,
like
I started with the Luz Silver.
Okay.
As soon as I got it, I was like, I'm not doing quantum. I already knew quantum was crap. To me, that's my opinion. I was like, I'm not doing quantum. Me, no.
Don't let Dan Perry.
I was a snob from the beginning. Like my least, like my cheapest one was the Luz Silver, and then I got into when Luz. I guess when the next generation, you go to like Academy, and they'll try to get the old generations out. That's when they were doing the Orange Crush and the green one. Yeah, the Max. Those were my next reels.
I think I started with a Black Max, and then I got a 6-gill reel baitcaster, and then I finally got a cheaper Shimano, not the Corrado or the DCs or anything, but and then I did get a DC then eventually. So working my way up through.
You don't need it's one of the things where you really don't need it, as long as you don't go too cheap. Like my friend, one of my best friends that won me. One of my best friends that got me into fishing and kayak fishing. It's funny because now he has kids, and he bought a boat because it's easier to take the kids on a boat than it's on a kayak because they're young. And it's funny because now he doesn't have that much money, so he still has his old equipment. So I'm just handing down the stuff every time I upgrade my reel or my rods with Douglas rods. Now I give it to him. So he's super happy about it because he's like, man, I taught you how to fish and all that, and now you're the one that's giving me all this nice equipment because you're upgrading. So it's funny because he still has that same quantum he's had for the last 5 years, same rods. I'm like, dude, how can you fish with this? I can't cast this more than 3 feet.
Well, I told y'all before we started recording, but I've got a little public service announcement that I want to go over right here. And I feel like this is the perfect place to do it since it's bass fishing for noobs. The noobs are the ones that need to hear this. This is directed towards y'all. I love y'all, but y'all need to hear this. So my PSA. If you're going to post on social media how much your fish weighs, you need to have a scale and actually weigh it before you do that. Buy a scale and a measuring board. Take it out with you, whether you're in a tournament or not. That way you can actually get a feel for what size fish is what. I'm not one of the people that comments on people's posts like telling them they're stupid or whatever for saying the wrong size, but that fish is not 10 pounds. That fish is more like 4 pounds. Just because it's the biggest fish you've ever seen,
I've been there,
does not mean that it's the big, like that big. So, like I said, I'm not trying to like hate anybody or nothing like that. But you're making yourself look dumb doing that. So just get a scale, please. They're not that expensive. You can get one at like Walmart for like $15. Yeah, you ain't even gotta have like a special measuring board, but if you want a special measuring board, get a Catch carbonate board. It's like $30, and yeah, like just get proper weight and measurement on it before you. I mean, man,
that's more like a vent to the public service announcement, but I agree.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that though. Like when I started, and thankfully I didn't open my Instagram dedicated to fishing, like Bass, Kayak, and Beers. Shameless plug-in. You can follow me at Instagram, Facebook, Bass, Kayak, and Beers. But before that, I just had my private account. And I remember when I caught my first big fish, it was out of the pond right here. Actually, where John B. from Guggen Squads used to live before he moved to that ranch. I don't know if he still owns that house, but he has a pond like in the neighboring area. And I caught my biggest fish there. And it was honestly like 4.5, maybe 5 pounds. At that time, when I took the picture and I sent it to my friend that got me into kayak fishing and bass fishing, I told him like, man, it's got to be 10 pounds. I told him it's got to be 8 pounds. It's got to be 8 pounds. I'm like, dude, that is at best 5 pounds. Like, no, you crazy, no. And it's like, and now that I've caught fish that I like actually weighted him, I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't 8 pounds at all. Thank God Thank God my account was private back then, because that was not even close to 8 pounds. Not even close.
I just had to say something about that because it seems to be happening more and more. And as the weather warms up, more of these like newer bass fishermen or the more casual bass fishermen are going to be getting out more. So it's going to happen more and more. So yeah, just get a scale. Spend $15 on a scale, and that will save you the embarrassment or the ridicule you're going to get online whenever you post that. Or just don't say what the weight is. Just
put it like,
I caught a good fish.
How much do you think this weighs?
Yeah, or I caught a good fish today. Like, people aren't going to ridicule you for that. But if you say you got a 12-pounder and it's a 3-pounder, then it's, yeah.
But I'll say this: I think a lot of time it's just not that people want to lie; it's just lack of experience.
Yeah, no, I 100%. I don't think people are like thinking they're going to try to pull one over on nobody. I think they just don't realize that that fish can be pretty decent size and still only weigh 5 pounds, or 4 pounds or whatever. Like a 4-pound fish. I remember when I caught my first 4-pound fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like amazing. Which, I mean, it's 4-pound fish. That is a good fish to catch. But
yeah, definitely.
Like even now, I'll take a 4-pounders all day long. But compared to the bigger fish, like it's not that big. Like, but yeah, I just had to get that out of my system there.
Little detoxing, venting.
Yeah. I had somewhere else I was going to go where I don't know, we said something during that and it made me think of something. No, I forgot it. So what's next on the list? Oh, you got a 360.
I got the Hobie PA 14 360. Funny story is
big money.
Yeah, it was. I gave you the long version just to fill time, but I'm currently on a leave of absence for work, paid leave of absence. With the pandemic, I've been so many years in the company that I was in their top salary. So they were like, hey, for the people that are in the top salary, we're offering you a 2-year leave of absence. We'll pay you, I think it was like 35% of your salary, and you don't have to come to work. I'm like, sweet, I'll take it. Because I had everything paid off. Me and my wife didn't have any debts. Fortunately, some of the investment that we did really paid off in last year. So we were able to pay off everything. So I said, heck yeah, I'm taking this. So I've been meaning to get. I started with the Outback, the 2019 Outback, and I love it. I still have it. But the hull broke, and thankfully, they honored the warranty. It was a crack on the scupper hole. But then, like, I was thinking, like, what am I gonna do while the hull gets here? Because I need a kayak for the tournaments. And then I get a letter, certified letter. My wife opened it. It's like, "Oh, you're not gonna like this." I'm like, "What?" Thought it was something like I missed like the IRS or something. I made a mistake on my taxes. What happened? And it was like the company that I work for. It's like, you have to return to work. Things be packed up, and they underline it as per contract. And call you back at any time. So you need to report by tomorrow, actually. Well, today, April 26th. I got to go back to work. So I'm like, okay, I'm going back to work. Sweet. I'm going to get myself the PA 14360. Because I was like, man, I was supposed to have 2 years of paid leave of absence, and they shortened it to 6 months. So I was like, well, I mean, as long as I'm getting this extra money that I wasn't expected, I told my wife, I'm getting the PA 360. And it's a reason why I got it more than 360 is just because I can put my rods horizontally. The 360 was an addict, because I could have gone with a native. You can do that on native. It's a lot cheaper. But that and the 360 was what I was like, no, plus I love Hobies. And I was super happy with my Outback and the fact that, they honored the warranty. So I was like, no, I'm going to go for it. So I did. I couldn't find any. Went to Pro Anglers right here in Texas, Hurst, Texas, or North Richland Hills, Texas. They had one, the Green Camel, but they were missing the drive. The Hobie shipped everything but the drive. It was like, we don't have the drive here. As soon as the drive gets here, we can sell it. So the guy, Rick, was the owner, says, you want to make a down payment? I was like, no, because what if it takes too long and I can find it someplace else? So like, no, I'll wait. As soon as you get the drive, call me. I'll come pick it up. I'll pay and I'll come pick it up. So I went, I would check every week. So I went 1 week. Rick wasn't there, one of the guys that worked there. And he says, hey, did you get the 360 drive? No. But decision was taken that Hobie Pro 360 is going to Sherry Karbashian, which is on the Hobie team. And it's one of their pro staff. So I was like, oh, but I got the money right here. I can pay. I ran into Sherry Karbashian which I've met before, but I ran into her at a boat show, and I was like, you took my Hobie PA 360. So, but she just got it this week. Finally, the drive came here. I had to drive to Arkansas. I called Louisiana to see if they have any. I called every single Hobie authorized dealer in Texas. None of them had it. Oklahoma City, none of them have it. Finally, I got in touch with Ozark Mountain Trading Company, I think it's called, up in, I think it's not Little Rock. Conway, I think it is, just above Little Rock. They says, yeah, we have one. It's almost a 6-hour drive. I'm like, I'll go pick it up tomorrow. I picked a car up. I was like, I'm not waiting for this anymore because they still haven't gotten any. I mean, that was in the beginning of March, and we're up to almost the end of April, and nobody has a PA 360 within, a 6-hour drive.
Wow,
that's crazy.
That's crazy. I know they've had a couple here locally, a couple times, Music City Outdoors, but yeah, they seem to go pretty quick.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm just thinking about selling. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that I just got the hull from the Outbacks. I'm thinking I talked to the guys over there. He says, well, I already got the 360, but I mean, I'll take the hull. He says, dude, you can sell that. He says, right now, the way things are going, and Chad Hoover posted a video on it, how the prices on kayaks are going to go up because of the resin or whatever. People smarter than me know more about this than me. But what I've heard, and actually Crescent Kayaks announced they're going up 20%. So I was like, that's one of the reasons why I was like, no, I'll drive 6 hours to get it because I'm not going to wait till they jacked up the prices. Again, I was like, no, I'll get it now. So I may just sell the Outback. Just like, man, I can sell it almost for the hull is brand new.
Yeah.
Hasn't been used. I can probably sell it for what it's worth.
So right now, kayaks are, I mean, the ones that are in short supply like that, you can sell them for pretty much what they cost brand new.
Yep.
Just people that just want them.
They'll save the taxes.
Now, don't want to wait. Yeah.
Yeah. A $5,000 kayak, how much is taxes on it? I don't even know. But
Depends
let's
on where
just say
you live. I know it's about taxes
$200-$300.
More than that here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you sell to somebody, hey, you don't have to pay the taxes. You just save yourself $300, depending where you live. So
here in Tennessee, sales tax is 9 point something, basically 10%. So
I lost you guys.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you still there?
I see y'all.
Yeah, I can see you.
Armando?
Yeah, I lost you guys, but I'm back. Yeah, now I'm back. Y'all went black there for a second. I was like, what? Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, here in Tennessee, man, sales tax is like 9 point something, basically 10%. So 5,000. That's $500.
500
right there. Yeah.
Damn.
So that's a good little chunk of change.
Yep.
That just inspired me even more to not go buy a Hobie.
Well, the funny story about it is my wife was like, well, how much it's going to cost you? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I sell the Hobie, I was doing the math while I'm answering the question. Well, I get the Hobie haul here. I can sell it for $2,500 and the PA 365,000. So I was like, yeah, $2,500. She's like, oh, okay, that's not bad. Like, okay. And then we had a conversation like a week later and it slipped out. And she's like, wait a minute. 5,000? I thought you said it was 2,500. I was like, no. That's because I'm selling the other kayak. So that kind of saved me from getting killed.
Now, do you trailer it or do you?
No,
that was the biggest thing. You've just been lugging it around.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Honda Ridgeline, which I love, and I live in Texas, so I get shamed for it a lot. Here.
Why don't you get a man's truck?
Yeah, why don't you get a man? That's not a real truck. I'm like, and if you ever drive, I love my Honda Ridgeline. I love it. It's great for kayak fishing.
You can't put bullhorns on the front of a Honda Ridgeline, okay?
No, you can't.
You got to get a big.
But I never I get 23. Because I do long drives for lakes. I like to go to country lakes. I don't like to. Not that the lakes around here in the city in Dallas-Fort Worth are nice. Jopo Lake is nice. Grapevine Lake is nice. Eagle Mountain Lake, which blew up in the KBF Trail on Saturday. That's a great lake, and they're all like 30-minute drive. But I like to go like Lake Fork, Lake Athens, Ray Roberts. So those are more like 2-hour drives. So I'm in the highway. I get 23 miles per gallon on that truck.
Yeah, and you got me there.
and the truck flies, man. That truck, I thought I was gonna get like a little truck, like not hating on anyone that has one, but the Nissan Xterra, which I hate that truck. I tried to drive that once on a rental. I was like, damn, I hate this truck. But the Honda Ridgeline, man, that thing flies.
No.
The SUV.
No, the pickup, the Frontier, yeah. No, the Xterra is nice. You're right. No, the Frontier. That pickup sucks. That's the worst pickup out there. Man, sorry if anybody has one. I'm just saying.
Now, the bed is tiny on those. So as far as that goes, then but not too bad.
But anyways, my point is I bought the Yakima T-Bar because this is obviously a lot longer than the Outback that I had, which is 12 feet down. This is 13 feet and 8 inches. So I bought so no, I really don't. I mean, I figured, hey, if Christine Fisher's doing it, like I'm not gonna outfish Christine Fisher. I'll give her that. But come on, man, if she can load that with a motor and all those powers in her, and I've seen her because I met with her. I saw her at the boat ramp on the KBF trails on Saturday, and I was very polite because nowadays it's not like when I grew up. When your mom always says you open the doors to women, you get up. Nowadays we live in an era now where that's kind of different now. So I went up to her. I was talking to her, and I told her, "Hey, not asking you because you're a woman and you can't do it. I'm sure you could because I've seen your videos. But do you need any help with your loading that thing on? Cause I know it's a big." And she's like, "No, I think I got it." So I was like, man, I feel like a wimp now trying to get a trailer. You see Christine Fisher haul that thing with a motor and all those batteries in her pickup truck. Then I was like, yeah, I guess. Now, but the investment of a trailer is what I don't, and it limits you where you can go too, kind of.
Right.
So I think I'm just sticking with the T-Bar on the Yakima.
Well, I don't know. If I had somewhere to store a trailer, I'd probably.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, but I actually had one. I got somebody sold me it was actually a boat trailer. It had the suspension on it and all that. And I was gonna set it up nice. Sold it to me for $50. You can't beat that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And there was nothing really wrong with it other than the wiring was a little messed up on the lights. So I just had to fix that, which ain't a huge deal. But but I had nowhere to put it, so I had to turn.
Well, my problem is I'm gonna call Danny Romero and I'm gonna order the best freaking trailer that he makes, and I'm gonna spend $5,000 where I don't need to. That's why I'm not gonna buy a Malone trailer. Are you kidding me? That's how I'm a snob. Yeah, I know. Everybody's gonna think this guy must be awesome, man. Fishing. Look at all the stuff that he has. No, I suck. I just like all the cool stuff. I like looking cool. I just suck. I'm sorry. But yeah, those trailers are nice, man. On the water innovations, damn, Danny Romero is doing something awesome there.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, I got a friend request from a page called On the Water Innovations on Facebook, and I don't know if it's not a fake. So, yeah, we might have to go over that later because I don't know if that's real or fake. I don't know, the way it's kind of wrote looks like a fake.
Maybe it's Danny Romero. Maybe Danny Romero. Danny Romero is his name, right? No, it's Romero, right?
I don't know.
I'm hoping I'm not making an idiot myself. I think it's Danny Romero. Maybe he's trying to, sponsor your show and give you a trailer.
Hey, that'd be great. I don't know where to put it, but I'll take it.
I thought about getting a storage, and I thought, well, because my wife wants to go kayak fishing once on Windley Lake here, because she's seen my videos of me fishing on Windley Lake, and she says, "Oh, that's beautiful." So I'm thinking, if I take her on the Hobie Outback, we get on the water, she's gonna tell me keep the kayak, don't sell it. Then I'm gonna have to get a trailer. So we'll see.
Hey guys, you see, I got my new Jig Masters performance shirt.
You're not going to give that one away?
I lost my last one.
You lost it. That's interesting phrasing there, sir.
How did you lose? I'm assuming some Jim Bean was to blame again.
Let's just say I lost my shirt.
Right?
I lost my shirt. When we.
I hope you didn't lose more than that.
Only his dignity.
I lost my dinner. I did lose my dinner. But so he finally got them back in stock. I got me a new one. He's got some more in stock, so y'all need to pick those up. They're pretty nice.
Nice.
Jigmasters.com. Yeah. Hey, I gotta help our boy out.
He's a great jigsaw, by the way.
Cody's a good guy. Yep.
I finally got some of those. I won't throw a jig on the river, just because of. Man, why can I never remember his name? He's one of the best river interviews we ever done. The Ohio. Brad.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Brad Hicks.
That's it.
No, Brad. He's the one that told me about the guy. I can never remember his name. We interviewed him last year.
The one from Wi-Fi. Oh my God, 153 baits.
No,
Matt Souders. No.
No, it's an older gentleman.
He's an older guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he kills it on the rivers up there in Ohio. I can't remember. Is it Steve something?
Steve Ballmer? No, Steve. No, what is it? I'll find it.
I
know. I'm horrible.
Now it's going to eat at me. But anyways, ever since he said
after self-recording.
Yeah.
Steve Coomer.
I remember Steve Coomer. There we go.
There you go.
I need to get that tattooed on my hand. That way it's like, oh, what's his name? Oh, yeah. I don't know why I have such a
I heard that mouse click, and I heard you. I know you look for it, Sean. You heard the mouse click, and you didn't remember it.
No.
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead. My bad.
He was talking about how, from his experience, the river smallmouth, the big smallmouth tend to avoid big crawdad imitations, like thinking that, he guessed maybe they'd learn that, hey, those things can hurt, but they'll eat the smaller crawdad imitations. So I won't throw like a jig on the river, but I finally got some of those finesse jigs, and it's going to be a smaller presentation. I'm going to throw that on the river. I want to see what I can get on it.
Have you tried? You know what works here? Like, there's a few lakes that have smallmouth. Lake Grapevine is one of them, and that little Z-Man brush hogs. That's really good. I think it's a 3.5 inch. Man, those they love it. I've used those, and I usually do it either net rig, and if it's because I know a lot of for some of the areas that I fish, it's very rocky bottom. So what I do is that I'll put a little split shot weight in it, give it like 6 to 12 inches, depending how deep it is, and because it's seaman, it floats. So that thing, I just kind of like Carolina rig it on a light setup with a split shot, and that little brush hog will stay like suspended. Oh man, those smallmouth bass will eat it up. They'll eat it up. Really good. Try those one, man. I know I got a friend here from Texas who loves fishing at Grapevine. Mike, he's always slaying smallmouth bass with that little baby brush hogs. Not baby brush hogs. It's just, I think it's just called hogs.
Hogs.
Hogs with a Z because it's seaman.
Okay. And you say you just like Texas rig that with a split shot above it, a bit on the line?
I used to a net rig, or if a net rig, or if if it's too rocky bottom and my net rig is getting snagged, then I'll do a little split shot. Because if it gets snagged, the split shot will just come dislodge, and I can still keep my bait. But yeah, then Texas rig it, and man, I'm telling you, they eat it up because it just gets suspended. They love it.
It's funny. I was just talking to a guy that I met out on the river about fishing Hellgrammite, imitations, and he was saying he does it the same way with just a little split shot up the line a bit, and then he Texas rigs it if he doesn't fish it on a jig. And I was like, I've tried it on a jig before, but I never thought about trying it like on a split shot rig.
It's money.
I'm definitely gonna try it now. It reminds me of the Zulu rig. I just started after Brad and Josh interviewed that dude from now we're gonna have another name I can't remember. Quantico Mike.
How did you remember that one?
Actually, I had another tab on my browser.
Okay, I was like, wow, I would not remember that one.
Quantico Mike is the guy's name, and he was talking about the Zulu rig, which is basically a fluke style bait on a worm hook with just a barrel swivel right about 6 inches or 12 inches above it. So that barrel swivel works a lot like I think a split shot would. It's just a little extra weight to pull it down. So
I just
try that.
Yeah, I just do a split shot because if it gets like I said, it's usually I use it on creeks. There's a little creek over here. Not a lot of people know it here in Texas. Not gonna say the spot, but there's a little creek where there's some smallmouth bass in there, and it's very rare to find that in a urban creek here in Texas. But the problem is it's kind of like man-made dam on the creek, and at the bottom of it, it's just like pieces of just metal and rebar and all that. So I need something that I won't lose the bait in case, the split shot will just come dislodge, and that's it. That's why I do a split shot. But yeah, you can do a barrel swing.
Gotcha.
But
that definitely is something I want to try because, I snag a lot in the river and it drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the river, I found a new spot on Duck River that I want to try. Me and my dad just so happened to go over it the other day, and it looks pretty juicy. The only thing is one particular area, you go over a bridge, I look down, I was like, man, it looks nice down there. Well, the closest boat ramp to it, I didn't got online and did all the research. There's a boat ramp about just under 2 miles upriver. So I could put in there, flow down there, but then you got a little over a mile, you got a low head dam. It looks like there might be a spot where you could drag your kayak out at the low head dam and take out right there, but I'm not 100% sure, so I need to go check that out. And maybe on like a calmer day where current ain't too bad, maybe I could do that with safely. But I want to check that out. It looked pretty juicy.
Sometimes it pays to explore places like that.
Oh, heck yeah.
to be honest, I actually had intentions of getting up this morning and going out to that boat ramp and just, fishing it because it didn't look like I believe that it's a wider and I think a little bit deeper than parts that I generally fish. So I was going to go, it's a little slower. So I was going to go check that out, maybe paddle up river and float back down a little bit or something like that. But I woke up and I was like, no, I'm getting lazy about that. And I don't need to be because Sean has taken the lead in the most fish over 12 inches caught in 2021. And I don't like being behind. So I need to quit being lazy and get out.
Speaking of, those big fish, I caught a nice 18 and a quarter smallie yesterday. That was, I'm going to guess, I didn't have a scale, but I'm going to guess 3 pounds.
Here we go. We just talked about this, Sean.
I can send you pictures of the length and it was a tall fish. Like it didn't even fit inside my bump board, It was overlapping the edges. So it was.
If it's 18 inches, yeah.
What was your guess?
I would guess 3.5. Like,
oh, yeah, 3.5. If it's a football sized fish, I don't know. You sent it to me, but I guess I didn't look at it real well. But I caught a 18 and 3/4, I think, not too long ago, and it was 3, I believe.
Okay.
So yours is like a half inch shorter. So, yeah, if it was like a fatter fish, yeah, I could see it doing that easy. Just glad you didn't say 10-pound smallmouth.
No, I knew it wasn't a 10-pound. When it first jumped, I was like, oh, I got my 20-inch smallmouth. But then when I got it in, I was like, oh, it's shorter than I thought. But when I saw it jump
it's a smallmouth?
Yep.
18-inch smallmouth. Nice, man.
Yeah, it was a good fight too. It was fun.
Yeah, that would definitely be 3.5 pounds, I would think, on a smallmouth.
Yeah, hold on, I might be able to. You guys keep talking. I'll find a picture and I'll put it up here.
Well, going back to what you were saying, Ryan, that's going to like places where you couldn't reach. That's one of the things that got me into the Hobie PA 360. And it was at Lake Fork when I was, and ironically, it's Lake Fork, the top two, Nate Gloria and the guy that came out second place, and I do apologize. I had him on my podcast. I forgot his name, but they both rep Outbacks. So it goes to show, and no motors. Goes to show you don't need a PA 360 to win an event like Bassmasters at Lake Fork and win $9,000 like Nate Gloria did. And again, second place was also a guy with a Hobie Outback. With no motor on it. So you really don't need to spend. But ironically, I was fishing that event and there were just places with just a hassle to get to because I knew there were spawning bass just like deep in creeks. And I just had a hard time just taking the rods out. So I take like 6 to 8 rods when I'm fishing a tournament. So just having him on the back and just can't tell you how many rods I've broken, how many times I had to replace the leader line because the rod got stuck on a branch or something. So I was like, I want that flexibility to go where makes it easier to me to get to my spots. And not only the 360, but having the rods on the side to me is a big difference. The first time that I was able to get to use the Hobie, the PA 360, was pre-fishing for the KBF Trail 1 at Eagle Mountain Lake. And it just made fishing so much easier because I was going deep into creeks where if I would have had my Outback, there was just no way I would have been able to. I mean, I could have, but I would constantly have to take my rods down and put them back up and take my rods and put them back up because it was just low-hanging branches and trees everywhere. So that to me was like, yeah, that's why I wanted to go to the PA 360. And again, you don't need it. Like I said, Nick Gloria and guy came up at second place at the Bassmasters. They were all on Outbacks with no motors. So,
well, to that point, that's why I have this. Y'all can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah. See, to that point, this is what I wanted to show you. Okay. This is a local event, season opener. here locally for KBFT, and we got this just happened this weekend. We got Russ in first. We got Joshua Sharp, who is the one that won his way into the 10 house back in January. We got Adam Rising.
Great angler.
Yeah, I mean, this top three, that's loaded, man. But you see Russ here, all right? Everybody knows Russ is a good fisherman.
Who's that guy? Is he good?
Yeah. but let me show y'all something here. Do y'all see a pedal drive in this boat?
Nope. What is he doing? Oh, wait a minute. Is he on Hobie now, right?
Yeah, he has one.
Yeah, he won one, right?
What did he win? No, he didn't.
No, he didn't win.
No,
remember, Drew
no, he
Gregory
didn't.
Oh, that's right. Drew Gregory won it. That's right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this club does not allow motors. There's no pedal drive. This guy was paddling and caught 99 inches and whooped everybody this weekend.
You know, I wanted to not to take away what you were. No, don't close that one. Oh yeah, that one. Not to take away from, not to steal your thunder. What I meant to say. Somebody posted on the KBN page. Somebody posted on the KBN page a few months ago about if Russ Snyder, if you take all those things away, not Russ Snyder, say if you take a professional kayak angler and you take him all those stuff away, all the bells and whistles, would he still be a great angler? And my thought on that, and I didn't get to comment because I know how it can go sometimes on that page. I love reading it, but I have to be careful when I comment. My point to that is, if you take Russ Snyder, right? You take Russ Snyder and you put him bare to the bone. You give Russ Snyder the an Ascend 12T, the cheapest fish finder you can find, no motor, and just fishing with, again, Quantum or Sepco, whatever. Would he still be a great angler? And my point is like, if you're going to put that Russ Snyder, and I'm going to use Russ Snyder because he's the best out there, or arguably the best. Now you take Russ Snyder and you give him a PA 360 and a spot lock and live scope. Who's going to win? Well, obviously the Russ Snyder that has all the bells and whistles. But that other Russ Snyder, the bare to the bones Russ Snyder with the 12T, will still land in the money on any tournament against anyone. That was my point.
The knowledge is one of the biggest things you could have in this, and it's something you can't really buy. I mean, you can pay for seminars or whatever. So in that sense, but your gear helps, but you still got to have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Because in the same sense, if you take somebody that places, 20th out of 25, 30 anglers every time and give them all of that stuff, is that going to put them in the money then? I don't think so. Like, it might help them a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be enough to push them to the point to where they are like winning or placing in the money. Like, because they don't have the knowledge.
I think equipment, especially when it comes to kayak, I don't know live scopes. I've never done live scope, and I've done, like, I like doing offshore fishing. I love it because you usually get big bass. I don't get them. That's usually why I don't get that much fish, because I don't care who you are. Offshore fishing is just harder than inshore fishing or bank beating. It's just harder. Yeah. Unless you're talking about, extreme weather, like extreme hot on summer or extreme cold on winter, then obviously offshore bite is what's going to be going on. But my point, I'm getting sidetracked here, but my point is, when I moved to the PA 360, one of the questions, and I'll do a video on it on YouTube. I either do it on my own YouTube channel or I'll do it on the Paddle and Fin. But I want to make a video about not just a PA 360, but upgrading. Like, because not everybody can upgrade to a PA 360, but you can upgrade like me. I upgraded from the 12T to the Hobie Outback. And this applies to any type of upgrade that you do on your kayak. it's not that it's gonna make you, or the question is, will it make you a better angler? And you would think, what would you say, Ryan, if I tell you a better kayak is gonna make you a better angler? Would you say yes or no?
I'm kind of in the gray area. That to an extent, yeah, it can help you. It can be a little bit of an advantage.
What about you, Sean?
I would say for sure, because I mean, like, just when I upgraded from, I went from a Jackson Coosa HD to my Outback, and I know I cover so much more water, and just that fact alone makes me a better angler because I'm getting to spots I never would have got to before.
And a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's not going to make you a better angler." And I said, "Well, you got to pause up that answer, because if you're talking about is it going to give you more knowledge, because kayak fishing or fishing in general, it's more than anything about knowledge. To me, it's 90% knowledge, 10% skills. What I mean by that is knowing what to use. No, not just knowledge in fishing, but knowledge of the body of water that you're fishing. What works, what doesn't work. You can be the most athletic, kayak angler out there. You can paddle or pedal faster than anybody. You can cast further than anybody. That's great. But if you don't know what baits you use, what works or what doesn't work, then it's not good. I say it's like 90% knowledge and like 10%, and this is just making up numbers, but just get an idea, and like 10% skills. There are some skills that you need to have to be in the elite level. And I'll bring up the Christine Fisher. You've seen Christine Fisher, how every year, now this applies to Guillermo Gonzalez as well. And I mentioned that on my last podcast with Matt Scott. You see those two now really investing time in tournament fishing, like going into as much tournaments as they can, either locally and nationally. And you can see the fruits of their labor. They're giving Russ Snyder, Jody Quinn a run for their money. Christine Fisher, I think it's second or third right now on KBF Trail. Guillermo Gonzalez is constantly he used to be always in the top 10. Now he's usually in the top 5. Not every tournament, but he's constantly out there. And the thing about it is that knowledge. But when you see like Christine Fisher, and he mentioned it on her video when she fished at Lake Fork, she was doing this skipping cast. And granted, it's edited. There are times I'm sure where she got hung up, and there's times where she backlashed and stuff like that. That happens to everybody. But that ability, and she mentioned it, only like on that tournament, only like 4 or 5 anglers were able to do the cast that she was doing. And that got her. Didn't win her because at the end of the day, Nick Gloria found the spot where he didn't have to cast. And I don't know if Nick Gloria can do those skipping like Christine Fisher does. I don't know. But he didn't have to because he was a different spot where it was, he found the juice. But the way that Christian Fisher was constantly just going deep into those brush and pulling fish out of there, that's where I say that 10% skill comes in. Because now you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't make that cast to get those big fish spawning, then, and I can tell you from experience, I fished that tournament, and pre-fishing, I saw 2 beds, and I couldn't for the life of me get that bait where I wanted to. It was like the bass was just like one little like pocket where if I try to put it in front of him or on top of him, it would just leave. It would just get spooked. So I had to find a way to put it up past it and bring it across, but there was really no way because it was in a pocket. So I was like, how am I going to do it? By the time tournament day came up, I had practiced enough that I was like, okay, I think I got a game plan how I'm going to catch this bass. And I did. I went the next day. I caught it. Now I didn't degrade in the tournament, but I got that bass that was watching, spawning the day before. And it took me a while to just like practice that cast. So that's that element. Now going back to the and again, any upgrade you do on a kayak, if you're going from a 12T to a native, if you're going from a native to a Hobie, if you're going from whatever the upgrade is, it opens doors for you. And in that aspect, it's not going to make you smarter. It may not necessarily automatically, as soon as you get on, give you more skills to cast, because that's you don't learn that. Does not depending on your kayak, although a kayak that's more stable is probably going to help you. But what it will do is open the doors for things that you couldn't do. And in my experience, or in limited experience with the 360, I'm able to reach spots that it would have been a hassle to get to because I couldn't, my rods were just standing up at the back of my kayak. So I'm able to fish the type of fishing that I want to do, that I feel comfortable doing now, because I can reach those spots and I can navigate on them with the 360 drive, where I can just turn on itself and not have to like lose time, but back and forth, like the Ever Given somewhere in Egypt candle. It's that 360 drive, you just turn on a dime. And that opens also the fact that a lot of times when you are fishing in those skinny waters, you are going to cast into branches and trees that are, long hanging. And if you on a if you're on like any kayak out there, it's not the 360 drive. It's kind of like a hassle because you have to like, go around, like make a U-turn. Where you're in your Hobie PA 360, all you do is you point the rudder, the steering to where your bait is, and your kayak's gonna move that way. You don't have to go all around. You don't have to wait till it turns. You just point it to where you want to go, and it just beelines in, and there you go. What would have taken me like 10 minutes to get my lure back, now it takes me like 2 minutes to get my lure back. So that means, God, that could have been 4 or 5 casts that I would have been done by now that I couldn't because I spent too much time. So in that aspect, I think, and not just the 360, any upgrade that you do on a kayak that is going to allow you to do something your current kayak doesn't allow you to do, or makes it harder for you to do, that's going to make you a better angler. Now, is that worth the investment? That's up to everyone. If your budget doesn't allow you or get that kayak without having to finance it, then I don't think it's worth it. I personally don't think it's worth it. I have to pay interest on top of, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a kayak. That to me is not worth it. But if you have that, financial flexibility, you can get it, then that may be worth it. Also, what type of waters are you fishing? Do you really need a 360 drive to where you're fishing? If you're fishing open waters, if you're fishing really skinny waters, like I see over here, Ibarela does here in Guadalupe River, where it's a lot of spots you're dragging your kayak, then no, a kayak that's going to weigh you like 150 pounds to drag over logs is not worth, in that aspect, no, the Hobie 360 is not worth the money if that's the type of water that you're fishing. So it really depends on what you're fishing and how much you can afford to fish. And the other thing is and I don't know this yet because I'm new at the Hobie 360, but is the equipment going to stand the test of time? If my Hobie Outback is going to break up every month, then it's not worth it. And I can't tell you, anybody that tells you, oh, it's not going to break, have you used it for a year? Because if you haven't, then you're BSing me. I can't just say, oh, it's worth it because it doesn't break. It's working great right now, but I've only used it for a month. So to me, that's the 3 main aspects. Can you afford it? Does it apply to the body of waters that you're fishing? And is it going to be durable for the type of fishing that you're going to do? And in that aspect, it can make you a better angler, or it can put you on the fast track to make you a better angler as well. I know I went on a tangent right there.
Well, and I was going to say, I think a lot of it has to do with comfortability with your gear. Mm-hmm. Like, you're newer to the PA 360, but you've had a Hobie, so you kind of got the feel of a Hobie. Somebody like me going from a bicycle style pedal drive to a Hobie, I'd be a little uncomfortable at first because I've never done the whole motion to go.
I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think it's if you do like the 180 where you have to like pull the cord and do reverse, then that takes a little bit.
Well, that too. Like, and I wouldn't really be comfortable with it. It's just like, if you hand me one of your rods, it's probably going to feel weird in my hand because I'm used to my rods. I'm not comfortable with it. If you're used to a little short net and you buy a long net, you're not going to be real comfortable. Once you get comfortable with your gear, yep. I think that's going to help you be better. Like just having that comfort to know what you need to do, know where everything's at, know how this piece of gear's like how this rod's going to handle, or how your kayak's going to start turning whenever you do something. That kind of stuff is what I feel like is really going to. I mean, you look at Russ Snyder's. He got on the team and got a Hobie, but said, I'm not going to immediately start doing tournaments in this Hobie because I'm used to doing it in my other kayak, and I don't want to screw up because I don't because I'm not comfortable in that kayak yet. So he finished the tournaments, and that might be why he used it in a tournament this weekend. He might still not be fully comfortable in it. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I'm just taking a wild guess about that. But I know that towards the end of last season, he said he was going to finish out the season in his normal kayak because that's what he was comfortable in and knew.
I'll tell you what, though, on Hobie BOS, which kind of like the 360, that's when it's really going to shine. Because any other tournament that you have the spot lock, you have the guys with the spot lock and everything on the Taquito, then the PA 360, that 360, as far as competition goes, it kind of, nullifies itself because now it's not the PA 360 the 360 drive kind of becomes obsolete when you're going up against a guy that has like a spot lock, who essentially does the same thing without actually having to pedal. Now, there's still some advantage to the PA 360, but where it's really going to shine is in the Hobie BOS. I'll tell you what, when Russ Snyder gets comfortable enough to start using his 360 drive on a Hobie BOS, where everybody is going to have to be using, there's no motors, it's going to be a hard out, man. That guy's going to be in the money all the time. All the time.
I mean, he's in the money all the time anyways.
Yeah. Well, not always. I mean, it's funny. Like, you think about it, it's not always. Like, the Lake Fork, I don't think he was, actually. He still did great, but
it's rare that he's not in the money.
No, it's rare that he's not in the money. But and maybe he was, but if he was, he barely just got in the money. But yeah, that when that guy figures it out on where he feels comfortable, watch out, Hobie BOS, because that's where it's really gonna shine. And depend also what type of fishing he does.
Right. And I think we were talking, I forget what the guest was we had on, Ryan, that he was saying he's not going to use electronics this year. And he just knows. Do you remember that? And I was just like,
familiar.
I can't even imagine. And I kept thinking, I'm like, man, and like on the river, when I'm on the Susquehanna, I don't usually use my electronics, because it's so shallow that it doesn't really help me that much. But just to have enough comfort to know that you can find fish without having to rely on that, to me, it's all in confidence. And if you're, your kayak or your gear gives you confidence, then that's, to me, is what makes the difference. If you can go out and confidently say, this kayak helps me feel confident that I'm going to catch more fish, whether you're covering more area to find more fish, or it's allowing you to do, or like you said, being able to cast someplace where 90% of the other anglers can't cast. You're going to obviously catch more fish because you're getting to fish that other anglers never even approach. So if it gives you confidence, then I think that's where the game changer is.
Yeah, that's the X factor too. Sometimes the equipment is going to give you confidence.
And one more thing I want to add is look at Drew Gregory. Went out and got Hobie Angler of the Year in a $1,000 paddle kayak, no electronics.
But Drew Gregory is like, he's a beast, man. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, that guy's fishing instinct is amazing.
Well, I'm just
plus he does a ton of homework too.
Yeah,
I'm going back to what you were saying. That's another thing that like separates a skilled angler from a novice angler is doing the homework and knowing how to do the homework, like knowing what to look for. That's what I was saying earlier. You were saying, like, take Drew Gregory. Okay, let's take him out of that Crescent kayak and put him in, I don't know, a Pelican, and give him $100 combos. And then let's take somebody out there that isn't quite as great an angler that's fishing in that Pelican and $100 combos and give him Drew Gregory's setup. I still think Drew Gregory's going to win. Like, just because his knowledge. That's some stuff might be more comfortable, but or more, they might give you a little bit of an advantage. But if you don't know what to do with that advantage,
And I got one quick thing about Drew Gregory on his Hooked on Wild Waters podcast. If you go back a few, he does break down how he does his homework. So if you're ever interested in hearing him do that, he did take an episode not too long ago, and he actually went through his process, what websites and apps he uses to break down water, and what he looks for. So
I need to listen to that one. Yeah, I didn't know Drew Gregory hosted that podcast, Hooked Off the Water.
Hooked on Wild Waters.
Hooked on Wild Water. Yeah, I didn't know he.
You're not supposed to refer people to other podcasts. You're supposed to bring him onto this podcast to do it again. So
we have Drew Gregory all the time here. We haven't had him all the time.
We haven't had him yet. I've talked to him before. No, I've talked to him before. Was going to bring him on, and then other stuff came up, and just haven't done it yet. We'll have him on.
I feel like every week we have an episode with Drew Gregory in one of our channels. It's funny. Somebody said the other day, we need somebody who want to get Drew Gregory. You thought about getting somebody else other than Drew Gregory? But no, he's a wealth of knowledge. I didn't know he hosted that.
Yeah, Kim Morris.
Kim Morris, yeah.
Cool. I have to listen to more of that podcast. Are they really active on it? Like a lot of episodes?
Yeah, lately
it's hit or miss.
Kind of tournament recap, but every once in a while he has one that he really, gets into the juice and really gives out some good stuff. So
and they don't have like a set like weekly episode or anything. I haven't been able to listen to podcasts in a while, so I'm not sure how they've been doing recently. But generally, it's like when they have something to talk about, they record it and put it out. So you might get one every week for a couple of weeks, and then might be 3 or 4 weeks between that and the next one or something like that. But they're definitely some good info on them.
Yeah, they are. I haven't listened to it quite a while, but that's one of those podcasts where you don't hear about a lot about it in social media. Like I've never heard of Hooked on Wild Waters other than I doing research when I started looking for podcasts, and I stumbled onto KBN and Paddle and Fin, and I've stumbled onto Jack Legion and Hooked on Wild Waters. But when you talk about social media, we try to do the best we can in social media. So I know Paddle and Fin is out there in social media. I know KBN is out there in social media, but I've never seen a social media post on Hooked on Wild Waters. So it's kind of like more for the people that are like the in crowd, I guess.
Well, let me show you my Smalley real quick. We'll see what you.
You were searching for that.
Think the way it is. Let's see, share screen, and I will do.
I know you wanted to share it. Then this guy posts up pictures of Russ Snyder's catch, and you're like, "Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right.
I don't have to show them. That's a 3-pounder.
You think? Yeah,
I think so. Dude, that thing is fat. Plus, it's a smallmouth bass. They're more muscle than I think the largemouth bass.
Yeah, I wish I'm gonna have to start. I have a scale. I just don't ever put it in my kayak, so I'm gonna have to start carrying it. So
that's like an 18 and a quarter, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So I didn't squeeze the tail on that one, but on the picture where I squeezed the tail, it was 18 and a quarter. So
yeah, that's a nice one, man. That's definitely gonna be a 3.5. What do you think, Ryan?
I can't really judge smallmouth too much because I haven't caught that many of them. I haven't caught that many.
Be jealous.
No,
be jealous.
No, I've seen his largemouth so trumps my PB.
Oh, that one. That was like what, 24 inches, Ryan? Which one did you caught? Was it last 23, year?
23. It's back in December.
I was jealous of that one. I was like, man, I thought I had the biggest bass on Paddle and Fin, but not after that one. That was a nice fish.
I was jealous of I would have been jealous of myself on that one because
that's a nice one, man.
Dude, it was so heavy. But see, I didn't get a weight on it. That's a prime example.
I don't weight him anymore.
Well, I didn't get a weight on it, and I posted it online, and I said, "What do y'all think it weighs?" Showed how.
Yeah, I remember
long
that. That's the way to go.
Yeah. Now, and we knew it was going to be around 8 pounds, but I didn't say it because we didn't get a actual measurement on it. But it was interesting seeing what other people said. It went anywhere from 5 pounds to like 10 or 11 pounds. So it's interesting seeing how everybody else translates that.
No, it's for sure. And again, maybe I don't know what a 5 pound fish feels like, but I mean, I've caught a 42-inch striper that I know what that felt like. So I don't know how much that thing weighed.
Largemouth?
Just over 20, like 20 and a quarter, I think.
That wasn't over 5 pounds?
I wouldn't say it was, but I don't know. I always think of a 5 pound bag of sugar. That's kind of what I think of when I think of, did the fish weigh as much as a 5 pound bag of sugar, And
you're also holding it differently. I mean, I guess if you took the 5 pound bag of sugar and like held it by the little where it's coated at the top, but
I stopped weighting my fish, and when I started fishing, I started bank fishing. I was in Lake Grapevine, and I caught. It must have been a female spawned out because she was skinny. But I didn't have a measuring board. I had a weight scale, and the weight scale said 3 pounds, and I was so disappointed because that thing. I'm sure I'll show you the pictures. I don't have them here, otherwise I would share them. I have them on my phone, but that had to be 24 inches or something. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the fish, no matter how far I put my hand away. I couldn't get the fish on the frame. It was an obscenely huge bass, and it only weighed 3 pounds. But it was skinny. It was paper thin. And it must have been a female because that was like, kind of late spring. So it must have been a late spawning bass, and she must have got spawned out. But I mean, that thing was like, it was huge, just a huge, humongous bass. And my personal best was in Ray Roberts. That was 22 and a quarter, 22 and 3/4. I'm going to say 22 and a quarter just because I don't want to exaggerate. But it was more than 22 inches. And I don't think that fish was that close to the one I caught in Grapevine. But again, that's when that was like 4 years ago, and that's when I just started bass fishing. So I just had to wait. So after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not weighing anymore. I'm just going to do the length. It's kind of like I get disappointed every time I do the weight.
Well, to be honest, the length is really the more like the fish ain't going to get shorter. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not going to get taller or shorter, but I can get fatter or skinnier.
Yeah.
So like the length is more determining factor, I guess, on the size of the fish, and weight is going to depend on time of the year, how well it's feeding, how much it's got to compete with other fish to get food and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, we're about an hour and 13 minutes in. So.
Real quick before we leave,
shut up, Sean.
Yeah, I just have to give a quick shout out. Some local friends of mine started making their own baits. The name of their company, if you will, is Bait Ace. It's BAIT-ACE ACE. They're on Facebook. They gave me a bunch. This is the Senkos that they gave me. So this is their grass color. They haven't named it yet, but they're looking for a name for that color. They gave me a bunch of Senkos as well, or like green pumpkin kind of Senkos. So I have caught.
You'll be whacking rigging those.
Yep, absolutely. I have actually caught a few bass on Lake Redmond on the 6, and then they also gave me some fluke style ones as well. So
should name that like lime crush or something like that.
Well,
they say lime crush.
If you go on their site, I'm pretty sure you can submit a name, and I think they said that if they pick your name, they'll hook you up. So
screw it. I already said it out loud, and somebody else.
Yeah, somebody's gonna steal it.
Yeah.
But
edit this part out, Sean. Edit this part out.
This don't air till tomorrow, so you better do it tonight.
Yep. Hop on real quick. So, but yeah, so I wanted to just thank them for let me try out their baits. And I told them I'd give it a shout out. So there it is. Go check them out on Facebook. I think they're on a couple other social medias as well, but Bait-Ace.
Yeah. Well, as long as we're doing shout out to Douglas Rods.
I was going to say,
sponsoring my podcast,
hey,
man.
This isn't your segment.
Okay? Hey, every time you bring a guest, you tell them, tell us your shout out, do your shameless plug. So here I am. Here you go.
And you're going to put it on the screen?
Logo, Douglas Rod, Bass Kayak and Beers.
All right, we got to get this guy by Douglas Rod right now.
He took over.
Yeah. But no, I appreciate you coming in on here and coming talking with us and stuff. I feel like we had a pretty good debate there and everything.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I like having this, just talking. It's great to talk about, each of our segments subject matter, but it's also fun just to talk fishing and throw it out there.
Absolutely.
Maybe people think it'll stupid or not, whatever. I don't know. It's just fun to me.
Oh, they'll listen or they won't.
I'll check the algorithms. I'll see how many listeners you have. If we have more than 600, then I'll start charging for this. Okay.
I don't know. I think they're gonna see Armando's on that one. We gotta hear this.
Yeah.
I got nothing smart to say, man. I'm all BS.
Alrighty, guys. Well, Armando, thanks again. Appreciate you coming on. Everybody, this has been the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment of the Paddle and Fin podcast, where we bring you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. Thanks for tuning in.
Later, y'all.
Peace out.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com